Aisha had left the aroma of New Orleans gumbo behind for the sterile, polished kitchens of New York's finest restaurants. But the call from her grandmother, a quiet desperation laced with pride, had brought her back to Spicewood, a historic black neighborhood in the heart of Atlanta. Her grandmother, Rose, was the heart and soul of the Gumbo Pot, a restaurant that had been a family legacy for 3 generations. Now, it was failing. The neighborhood was gentrifying, and in its place, a corporation run by a man named Sterling was trying to buy up every piece of property on the block. He wanted to replace history with luxury apartments. Aisha, a woman in her late 20s with a confident stance and hands that bore the subtle scars of her craft, walked into the kitchen of her childhood. The familiar scent of bay leaves and simmering roux filled the air, but the silence was deafening. The vibrant laughter of her grandmother and her customers was gone, replaced by the faint hum of an old refrigerator. Her grandmother, Rose, sat at a small table, her hair a distinguished shock of white against her dark skin. Her face, a map of wisdom and hard work, was etched with worry. "They came again, Aisha," Rose said, her voice barely a whisper. "Said my offer stands. A fair price for an old building." Aisha clenched her fists. "It's not about the money, Grandma. It's about this place. It's about us." Mr. Sterling, a slick man with a suit that looked too expensive for the neighborhood, was a frequent, unwanted visitor. He embodied everything Aisha had fled from in the big city, a cold, corporate world that saw people and places as assets to be bought and sold. Sterling's offers were laced with thinly veiled threats about property taxes and zoning changes. Determined to save her family's legacy, Aisha dove into the restaurant's records. In the back office, tucked away behind dusty recipe books and old newspaper clippings, she found it, a worn, leather-bound book. It was her great-grandmother, Mama Lena's, recipe book, but it was more than that. It was a diary. The recipes were written in elegant cursive, accompanied by stories and little notes. It was here that Aisha began to understand the true value of the Gumbo Pot. The first entry was a recipe for community gumbo. Mama Lena had written, "A dash of kindness, a cup of understanding, and a whole lot of love. This pot feeds us all, not just our bellies but our souls." The recipes were for community meals, for celebrations, for times of sorrow and times of joy. They were intertwined with the very fabric of the Spicewood community. As Aisha delved deeper into the book, she realized that some of the entries seemed to be more than just recipes. They were coded messages, hints about the land the restaurant was built on. One entry spoke of a secret ingredient that was a promise to the soil. Another talked about a map in the stars. Confused, Aisha sought out Mr. Gideon, an old family friend and a neighborhood historian. Mr. Gideon, a man with a booming laugh and a memory like an encyclopedia, was the unofficial keeper of Spicewood's history. Mama Lena was a clever one, Mr. Gideon said, his eyes twinkling. She saw the future coming. She knew people would want this land. She had to make sure it couldn't be taken so easily. Together, they started to decipher the clues in the recipe book. The secret ingredient was not food, but a part of the original land deed. The promise to the soil was a binding legal agreement. Mama Lena had secured a covenant on the property. The land could only be used for community purposes. If it were ever converted for private, non-community gain, ownership would revert to a trust she had established, managed by the community elders. The map in the stars was the key to finding the hidden copy of the original deed. The celestial diagram was a coded reference to a mural in the community center that had the deed's location subtly marked. Aisha's discovery was bittersweet. It was a testament to her great-grandmother's foresight, but it also painted a target on the Gumbo Pot's back. Mr. Sterling, who had become impatient with Rose, showed up with a final, non-negotiable offer, his voice dripping with condescension. "I have the deeds, Mrs. Rose," he said, waving a folder. "The paper trail is clean. This is your last chance." Aisha, now armed with the truth, confronted him. "My great-grandmother's paper trail is cleaner, Mr. Sterling. The one you have is a copy, and it's incomplete. Our deed has a covenant you don't know about." Sterling's sneer faded into a look of cold fury. He demanded to see the book, but Aisha held it tight. He then resorted to intimidation, hinting at the power and influence he had. Later that night, as Aisha was closing up, 2 of Sterling's men tried to break into the restaurant. They were after Mama Lena's book. Luckily, Mr. Gideon, who had seen them approaching, had warned the neighborhood watch, and they were quickly scared off. The next day, Aisha, with the support of her grandmother and Mr. Gideon, decided to take a stand. She didn't just want to save the restaurant, she wanted to save the entire block. She decided to use her great-grandmother's community gumbo recipe to bring everyone together. She posted flyers around Spicewood, inviting everyone to a special community dinner at the Gumbo Pot. The response was overwhelming. People who hadn't stepped foot in the restaurant for years came, drawn by the call to defend their home. The day of the dinner was a whirlwind of activity. The kitchen, once silent, was filled with the sounds of chopping, laughter, and sizzling spices. Neighbors, young and old, helped prepare the food. Aisha, with her grandmother by her side, led the charge, her chef's jacket a new symbol of her commitment. The restaurant filled to the brim with faces that held the history of Spicewood. As people ate the delicious gumbo, Aisha, standing on a small wooden crate, told them the story of Mama Lena's secret. She explained the covenant, the recipes, and how the restaurant was not just a business, but a promise to the community. She had a lawyer from the community, a young woman named Nia, who confirmed the legality of the covenant. Just as Aisha finished her speech, Sterling walked in, flanked by 2 bodyguards, a final attempt to intimidate. He scoffed at the idea of a secret deed, calling it a desperate fabrication. "I have the signed and notarized documents right here," he announced, holding up his folder. "You have no proof." At that moment, Mr. Gideon walked up to him, a subtle smile on his face. "You're right about that, Mr. Sterling. The proof isn't in a folder. It's right here in this room." He gestured to the people gathered, to the shared laughter, to the food on their plates. "This building," he declared, "is a community purpose. This restaurant is a community gathering place. It's why Mama Lena's deed protects it. And it's why your deed is invalid." The community cheered. The news spread like wildfire. A local news crew that had been invited by Mr. Gideon arrived just in time to capture Sterling's humiliation as he was asked to leave. Aisha's act of defiance, fueled by her family's history, had not only saved the Gumbo Pot, but it had also reignited the spirit of Spicewood. The restaurant became more than a place to eat. It became a historical landmark, a living museum of the community's resilience. Aisha and her grandmother worked together, not just cooking, but preserving stories, adding them to the family recipe book. The Spicewood neighborhood was no longer a target for corporate greed. It was a place of strength, of unity, of a powerful past shaping a vibrant future. And at the heart of it all was the Gumbo Pot, its doors always open, its kitchen filled with the aroma of gumbo, and its story a testament to the fact that some things like community, legacy, and love can't be bought.